Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over some severe storms that are going to be moving through parts of the northern plains. We're going to have a slight risk in effect for parts of Wisconsin, Michigan, and also Minnesota and North Dakota for today, and that is for those severe storms. We're going to be timing this out for you guys and giving you all the information you need to know in today's video, so make sure you are staying tuned all the way until the end. Taking a look at the current National Weather Service page, you can see how we have some air quality alerts in effect for parts of the Northwest, as well as some red flag warnings in parts of Montana and Idaho. We have some flood watches in effect for parts of Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and Utah, with some more heat advisories in parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, and also a little bit of parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Florida as well. Other than that, we don't have many other watches or warnings currently in place. Yesterday, we had a high temperature in Stovepipe Wells, California, where they got up to 119 degrees with a low temperature of 32 degrees in Sun River, Oregon. The highest rainfall report was 3.31 inches in Potato Patch, Arizona, and that's where they had the highest rainfall report as of yesterday. Taking a look at the NAM 3KM model, this is a model showing you what we're expecting over the next couple of hours in terms of the simulated radar. We're going to start off with a few storms, nothing really too severe later this afternoon. So this would actually be around 1 p.m. Central Time, which is right around when this video will be uploaded. So you can see we already have a few storms popping up, but this is really nothing that's going to be too major as of this point. Taking a look at around 4 p.m. Central Time, you can see that we have still some more of these storms developing. Mainly they're just rain showers. Again, nothing that is looking too severe up to this point, although we are going to start to see over the next few hours a few bits of more severe weather starting to set up in northern Minnesota and parts of eastern North Dakota. You can now start to see that we have a few clusters of some stronger storms, and this will be around 7 p.m. Central Time tonight. And you can see that we have a few weaker storms in through parts of the Dakotas and western Nebraska, and then more of the significant and stronger storms in isolated areas for parts of North Dakota and Minnesota. And then moving this on a little bit further further in the future, you can see that we have for around 10 p.m. Central Time tonight, some more of these storms into parts of the northern plains. Now, these are going to be isolated storms. We're not going to see anything too widespread out of this event. It's going to be mainly just pop-up storms. Isolated areas, of course, could see some of those stronger effects, especially as you get closer to the Canadian border. You see that we do have some storms up into parts of northern Minnesota, as well as for parts of northern South Dakota. And then moving this on even more, you can see everything's shifting further to the east, mostly just scattered storms and scattered rain showers into parts of Wisconsin and Michigan by this point. Some of those will become severe, as you'll see in just a moment. South Dakota and Nebraska also still dealing with mainly just rain and maybe a couple scattered showers here and there. This is when we start to get a bit of a line starting to develop. So this is around 4 a.m. Tomorrow morning, and you can see that we have a line of storms now starting to develop into southern Minnesota and northern Wisconsin, and this is when you're going to start seeing most of that severe weather actually take place. What we were dealing with before in parts of North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, into parts of southern Canada was mainly just scattered afternoon pop-up showers, but nothing that was really too widespread or too impactful in these areas. This is when we're going to start to see a little bit more of a widespread impact from these events and these storms. Looking at 7 a.m., you can see that they are starting to die out a little bit more by this point. We still do have some isolated stronger storms, but again, these are not going to be super strong storms, and this is going to be a fairly inactive type of day in terms of severe weather. The only real threat is going to be, again, in this area of the northern plains, where we have some weaker to even moderate storms. I'm not expecting anything too major or too severe out of this event. It doesn't look too impressive up to this point. Now, taking a look at the total rainfall out of this storm system and out of this event, you can see that we're expecting maybe about a tenth to half an inch of rainfall in through parts of Nebraska and South Dakota. We have some of those higher amounts in the higher elevations of Colorado, as well as some of these elevated amounts in parts of northern Minnesota and northern Wisconsin. We have a few areas getting half an inch to even an inch, or in a few isolated spots, 2 or 3 inches. And that's where that's kind of the footprint of some of these stronger storms. Again, these are going to be isolated. We're not going to see too much widespread severe weather. We may see that for a couple hours, but for the most part, it's going to be an isolated type of severe weather event. And again, I'm not expecting anything too major or too impactful out of this severe weather event. Taking a look at the CAPE values, the convective available potential energy, you can see that we're not expecting anything that's going to be off the charts here. We're seeing a lot of areas that are above 1,000, maybe even approaching 2,000 or more in parts of southern Ontario, southern Manitoba, and also into northern Minnesota. We also have some of those elevated amounts into northern Wisconsin and the UP of Michigan, but again, these aren't huge values and definitely not enough to spur up some huge severe weather outbreak. Looking at the high temperatures over today and this afternoon, you can see that we are actually dealing with an ample amount of warmer air. We have all of these areas in at least this gray shade getting up above 90, and you can see that covers pretty much the entirety of the northern plains, even stretching down into the central and southern plains. So the central part of the country is dealing with these very warm temperatures, for the most part above 90, and for a majority of these areas getting above 95, even approaching 100 degrees in a few of these spots in parts of South Dakota, North Dakota, and Minnesota. You get further to the east and it's still warm, but you're only about 85 or 90, so definitely not as warm, but still warm enough to support some of these storms. Warmer temperatures are definitely nothing that's going to be kind of holding these storms back. Taking a look at the dew points, these could definitely be higher. They're not too impressive up to this point. You have some higher dew points right where these storms are kind of centering. So in the clusters of storms, you have areas that are getting dew points up near 65 or 66, but you get away from there, you get into the majority of the Dakotas, western Minnesota, into Nebraska, and you're dealing with dew points that are only into the low 60s, even upper 50s in a few of these spots. It's a little bit higher as you get into eastern Minnesota, parts of Iowa, and the majority of Wisconsin and the rest of the Great Lakes in general. That's where we're above at least 68 degree dew points, and then you're even getting a few areas that are up near 70. So these areas could definitely support a bit more in the way of stronger storms. We just don't have enough moisture out there in parts of South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Colorado, Wyoming to get any of these bigger storms to develop into those areas. Taking a look at the Storm Prediction Center's forecast, you can see that they did put up a slight risk of severe weather in these areas. Now, I think the NAM model was probably underdoing it in terms of how many storms we will actually see. I think we will see a few more pop up, especially into areas like North Dakota, Minnesota, and into parts of northern Wisconsin. And again, I'm not expecting any one of those storms to be awfully severe or awfully impactful. But again, you will see some areas getting heavy rainfall, maybe some weak hail, some smaller hail, maybe even one or two very weak tornadoes here and there. But again, this is not a big sort of event. You have that slight risk again, which goes through parts of North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. And then looking at the hail outlook, you see that you do have a 15% risk of hail in parts of North Dakota and Minnesota. It's over a fairly small area. It doesn't even extend into parts of Wisconsin, although the wind outlook does extend into that area. So for parts of Wisconsin, Michigan, also into the northern half of Minnesota, and also into eastern North Dakota, we have a 15% chance of seeing wind damage in those areas, and there's a less than 2% chance of seeing tornadoes within that entire area. So at the end of this video, I'm just going to give you a couple updates on what I'm expecting to do, especially for early August. I will be having, especially in the early and mid part of August, I will be making a few more of those longer range videos. I'm expecting to make about 7 or 8 longer range videos in a row. I'm gonna have my monthly forecast for the August forecast that'll come out early in August. I'll also have my preliminary winter and fall forecast. We'll have, I believe, probably a winter and fall discussion, another one of those out, and then we'll also have your first snowfall forecast. So when you'll see your first snowfall, your fall foliage forecast, like we did last year. Also, how much snowfall you'll see just based on averages. So we'll have a bunch of those longer range type of forecasts out, especially into early and mid-August. So definitely make sure you are sticking around. I will be putting a full schedule on when each video will be coming out on my community tab on YouTube. So that will be coming out probably sometime in early August when I'll put up that schedule, and you guys can see when exactly each video will be coming out. So and that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.